What is an innovation disruption, and should you try it or ditch it? G'day, Nils Vesk here from Ideas with Legs. Unless you've been living under a rock, you're sure to have heard of the term innovation disruption or disruptive innovation. But do you really know what it means? And more importantly, is it actually worth chasing? But before we go any further, if you want to grow a business through minimal risk innovation, be sure you hit the big subscribe button below. Now, disruptive innovation theory is complex and confusing, so almost everyone makes up their own definition and loosely calls anything that creates a disruption in an industry a disruptive innovation. And when it comes to disruptive innovation companies, most of us would probably label a company such as Uber as a great example of disruptive innovation. But according to the academic definition, Uber doesn't kick the boxes. What the heck? Well, the basic definition of disruptive innovation is when a small company or a startup focuses on one or a few select customer needs or desires that have been ignored by the big company. The disruptor then provides a better solution for these overlooked areas and usually does it at a much lower price. The disruptor then starts to branch out and cover more and more of the complete service that the big company was offering while addressing the previously ignored customer needs. And when the big company finally cottons on and takes this disruptor seriously and adopts the disruptor's offerings, then that's when technically an innovation disruption has occurred. So let's come back to Uber. Because the taxi industry still hasn't adopted the technology that shows people where your car is and how long it will be to get to you, thereby dealing with that need and the desire to see when the car will actually turn up, then technically Uber is not an innovation disruptor, which kind of makes you think that something's wrong with the definition of innovation disruption and it needs changing. I've got a better idea. Let's just ditch it. Ditch the term disruptive innovation and use words that you and your team will understand and buy into. Why? Because most people are afraid of innovation, most people don't want to change, and most people are scared of the term disruption. I mean, after all, we're creatures of habit and we're seekers of comfort. Now, that doesn't mean we don't do innovation and we don't look for disruption opportunities. Instead, we simply call it something else, something less threatening, something that has a lower perceived threat and lower perceived level of difficulty. Now, recently I wrote about the power of having innovation synonyms to call innovation something else for this exact reason. All because we have 90% of the workforce have a prevention-focused motivation preference. And that means that we are motivated at work to not make any mistakes or take risks. 90%. Now let's face it, for most of us, innovation disruption screams danger, danger, danger at absolute full volume. So rather than thinking disruptively, let's start thinking constructively. Here's how. Now the first thing that you need to do is find the need, pain point or frustration ignored the most in your industry or the industry you want to head into. Now you can look for alternative solutions that could create better cost or customer experience results. You could find your industry's limiting belief that created a subpar solution. So here's a hint. When someone says, well, that's the way it's always been done, or that's the only way it can be done, chances are you're looking in exactly the right area. Could some technology or automation provide a leap in output or improve customer service? Or if you had to start from scratch again with a limited budget but no constraints, what would be the number one thing you'd like to change in the industry? Or if a critical component, step or part of your business had to be eliminated, just absolutely wiped away, how would you salvage the situation to make it even better? Would you substitute a component or a step? Would you have to simplify? Would you need to automate? Would you need to add to it? So let's wrap this thing up. An innovation disruption is an excellent bonus outcome to have due to innovating. However, most successful disruptive innovation companies don't go into business to disrupt something. They simply start with the intention to provide a product or a service that caters to that customer's unmet or ignored need and desire. And focusing on the customer's unmet and ignored needs and desires is a much better place to start a business reinvention, and it won't send people hiding under their desks worrying about risk. In the worst case, You'll create and you'll discover a critical commercial insight or create an improvement innovation. And if the need is important enough that it's been ignored by everyone, then you could well be onto a disruptive innovation. And who knows, you may become one of those elite disruptive innovation companies. But please, let's not use that term until innovation disruption, until it actually happens. Let's just call it constructive thinking so no one gets scared and protests. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you want to learn how to reinvent your business results in 30 days, check out our 30-day business reinvention program. The links are in the course below. And please subscribe if you like what we shared today. See you soon.